Here we are at Operation Move the Chapel. Now, Operation Move the Chapel is a multi-phase project. I'm in about phase 2, and there's probably about 10 phases. So the idea is to move it from here, where I built it, and move it over to, where the buggy is, a little beyond that, and hopefully to spin it 90 degrees. The idea is to jack up the 4 corners about 8 inches or so, and put 2 beams underneath running the full width of the building, and then rolling it. Right here in front of the buggy is about where I see the porch. You can see the problem here is that I've got this drive shed over here, and I have to move it first. So I spent the morning jacking this thing up. Again, 4 corners, and putting these angle brackets in, and that's what I'm going to support the 2 beams on. Both of these structures are really, really heavy, and to be honest, I'm not sure how I'm going to roll them. The drive shed's a bit of an experiment. I think I may be able to pull it, to winch it with the buggy, or I've got to come along. So I've got the brackets in place, and the beams in, and the little cross braces there. I'm starting to have some real serious reservations about this whole project. I was a little discouraged, so I went down to the shoreline, and I went in the water, and I cooled off, and I rethought the whole thing and decided, yep, let's do it. So I came back here real quick, and I took that red pine down. And now I'm just about ready to start the pull. I've got the drive shed sitting on the rollers, and now I'm going to see if the buggy will in fact pull it. Actually, a little surprised it's working. Moved it about 10 feet so far. Here we are, day 3. One of the things I wasn't factoring in really was how tricky it was going to be to spin this thing, because I have to turn it 180 degrees in order to put the front of it in there. So right now I'm just slowly skidding it angle by angle, and hopefully it won't fall apart. This is certainly one of those jobs that I get into and I think, what have I started? I'm finished sort of snaking it around this cedar stump, and I need to turn it another 90 plus degrees. Almost there. Just got to take down a little cedar tree and snug this thing back about 8 or 10 feet. So in the end, this is what all my fancy engineering looked like. It's all buckled and buggered. The drive shed's in its final resting spot, and I'm happy about that. It didn't crack in half. I think it's maybe rethink the plans about moving the chapel. Maybe that's a job for another time. So I took a day off and had a good think about the next phase, which is the chapel, and came up with a whole sort of different plan. So I spent yesterday fashioning these 2 beams, one on each side, faced them, and built in these jack points, because one thing I learned with moving the drive shed is you end up jacking these things a lot. So the idea is I'm going to lay a couple of big timbers on the ground, and I'm going to grease them, and I'm going to sledge this thing. So this is how I'm leaving it for now. And next time, October hopefully, will be the exciting part. And that's it for this phase of the adventure. So I'm back here at the labor camp for part 2 of Operation Move the Chapel. I spent part of the day yesterday jacking up the 4 corners, and I'm up about 2 inches. It's a beautiful mid-October day here, dodging a bit of rain and a bit of sun. I've got the porch suspended with these ratchet straps. That seems to be doing the trick. And you can see I'm about, 2.5, almost 3 inches off the rock there. And that's at all 4 corners. So I'm going to jack it up a little more and then lay the beams. These are the beams here that I got from my good friend John. And this is it. Pretty low tech, but it works. And once I get it high enough, I can actually jack from under the beam, which is a little easier. So I've got the boards all cut and greased up and positioned, and now's a moment of truth. I'm gonna see if this thing will even move. Well, the first attempt using the buggy, that sure didn't work. But I don't know if you can tell or not, but it just moved about 4 or 5 inches. I'll show you how we measure the progress here. Those sounds are pretty awful. There we go. Here we are, day 2. Pretty successful yesterday, managed to move it about 4 feet, all in one direction. So now the challenge is to start to turn it, to spin it. And for this I'm using 2 come-alongs, one in the each opposite corner, and hopefully this will work. We'll find out in a second. Okay, here we go. It's already tensioned up. There we go. So the theory is sound. Well, this is slowing things down a little bit. Didn't plan on this. Slow and steady, I think, is the operative word here. And I can tell you that by far was the most dramatic pull yet. It moved about 5 times further than any other one. Beginning of day 3, this is the final push. This is going to be another big one. Sometimes it takes upwards of an hour just to set up the straps for a pull, and this might be probably not the final pull, but maybe the second last one. We'll see how this goes. I've got it anchored over here and here, and I'm going to pull on both. Okay, that's tensioned up. Seems to be a little hung up on something. Down here. These bottle jacks are just the most amazing thing. Couldn't do it without them, but I tell you, I spent more time jacking them up than I care to remember. So I'm just going to free this corner here. It's probably going to shift. Oh yeah. Last night we were pointed at the outhouse. Now we're about 7-8 degrees beyond it. Okay, got to move some things. And the chapel is now in its final resting place. Now I got to reset the posts, put them on their rocks, level it, and the cleanup. Well, it took 3 days, but finally done, and real happy about it. This is the approach from the back. And there she is. And this is the approach from the south.